right, let's get this started. This is going to be my first recording. I've been wanting to do this for a while. So I've been trading markets for about 5 to 6 years. I think even more than that because I keep doing it on and off, but I've been doing it for a while now. And I trade mostly gold and GJ. I do trade a few other pairs, but that's really on and off if I see any opportunity. But my prime ones are gold and GJ. I know a lot of people trade both these pairs, so I'm going to be giving my breakdown on them for this week. As you can see, I haven't marked up my charts. I'm going to do a little bit of a markup. So let's get into it. So GJ, as we can see from these daily candles, it's been in this area and it hasn't really, broken out anywhere. It's been bouncing between the price of like 184 to 186, I'd say. Yeah, about 186, just off of 186, but it's been pretty much in this area itself. So if you look at it fundamentally, I would say GJ is bullish because of the Bank of Japan, uh, because of their monetary policy, and because of that, I would say GJ is, high time frame bullish. Until they change their stance on their monetary policy, GJ will be pretty much bullish, and I think that'll probably go into 2024, where we actually see a policy change in the Bank of Japan. So looking at the daily, this is what, and the daily has not been doing anything for the past couple of, for the past few days. Last week, we did see this candle that broke out of, this lower range, and you see this bullish, did a retest, and it's broken out above this area. So now it's just stagnating there. Let's go to the 4 hour. Typically, I mark my charts off the 4 hour on GJ. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to be marking that. Let's just get that magnet on. Okay. So we're going to mark that as our, that's going to be my sell zone. I'm going to extend it right. And I'm also going to have a sell zone up here in this area because this is definitely an area where GJ sold off of. Now, I would do it off of this area, but I'm going to cover a vast area here because I just feel that price could react anywhere and everywhere. This was technically a fake out. It was a liquidity run before it really dropped again, and as you can see, it's also a double top on the 4 hour, a technical double top. But yeah, a lot of people follow those patterns, so I'm just going to mark it like that. I've seen results with the way I mark it up this way, therefore I'm just going to go with that for now. It's what's worked for me, so I think that'll be fine. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so as you can see, initially price came into the sell zone and obviously reacted from here. Now when I trade GJ, I technically like to see price come into the first half or even into the deeper half of the zone. But with GJ, what I usually do is I mark up number structure on the GJ. Okay, I mark up a number structure on the GJ, which a lot of people might know. I have the 800, I have the 200, and I have the 500 marked up. That's what I mark up, and therefore I've seen results with these, and that's why I'm marking those up for now. So there you go. I've marked that up. Now let's just take a look at the 4 hour. I don't want to go back in history and like give you all a lecture on this. I'm just going to take recent price action. We've seen that GJ has, broken out from here. It's come above, and technically this entire, oh my god, hold on. So there you go. So this entire area that you see here is basically it's a range. I mean, it's also formed a double top on the 4 hour. Now, when we formed a double top on the 4 hour last time, what happened? We saw price drop. Same way when we came here, we saw price drop. I am expecting to see price drop here as well because for me, number one, you have this clean breakout here, and you obviously have imbalance. I believe GJ should come down first before it can go up, further up. And also, I believe if it has to break this double top structure, there has to be a momentum event for it to push through, because you're looking at an event where it would break these areas with big momentum. Only in such case would I, look at buys. Otherwise, I'm not looking at buys at the moment. I still believe GJ has to come down before it can go up. And let's just go to the. This is my 4 hour. This is what we're looking at. Let's just go to the. There is a possible buy zone you could mark here. This is a possible buy zone. You could go off that. You could go off this buy zone for sure. If price comes here and you see price reacting here, that's definitely a buy zone. Again, I would obviously have my number structure marked off in here. I would have the 0.5 marked up, and I would have the 0.2 marked up. Okay, so you have one on the top, you're on the base, you have a buy zone there, and you have a sell zone here. You could possibly bring in one more buy zone down there. That could be one more buy zone. So you have 181.8, 181.5, and you have 181.2. I'm just going to leave those there for now. So this is what your this is what it would it would typically be. That's your buy zone. These are your buy zones. That's your sell zones. Let's just drop down to the 1 hour. So this is what we're looking at on the 1 hour. This is your structure on the 1 hour. So now if you want to get even more technical with trading, the see, I've been trading for quite a few years, and I analyze it, and I have my own way of looking at the charts, reading structure, uh, reading candles. I have quite a few ways of how I do this. So it's not just one thing. I look to have multiple confluences when I'm taking my trades. So if you look at the 1 hour here, you obviously have this breakout. This could be an area where we see a retest into. Okay, this could be an area that you're looking to see price come into, and obviously we have this buy zone down here. But on Friday we saw a break of structure here. You saw a break of structure here, and you saw price come up. Now, technically, it hasn't. If you can see, there's a gap here. A lot of people talk about market gaps, right? A lot of people talk about market gaps. Let me just like an imbalance, right? So there's your imbalance. There's your imbalance on the 1 hour. Now, what could land up happening here is because now keep in mind on the higher time frame we already have a double top here. So when you come down to the 1 hour, you do see there's a gap here. You do technically see uh, so price came down here. This looks like this could be, you could call this an order block. You could even call this an order block. It came here, it reacted to this point, this support. I mean, there was a support that was created here. It technically reacted here and it's pushed up again. You could see price come down again and react anywhere here, anywhere in this area. You could see price react here and then push up to cover this imbalance that you see here. It doesn't necessarily have to come into this because this is already a prime sell zone, high number area. These are like really like this would be like an amazing sell. This would be amazing risk to reward. A lot of traders talk about risk to reward also. This would be heavy risk to reward. I mean, like really good risk to reward because you've gotten into a prime area where you're selling. That's premium sells. But price doesn't have to necessarily come back here again. What could land up happening is it could open and test this area and push up to cover that imbalance. And once it covers that imbalance, we are looking at covering imbalance and then from there selling down. From there selling down. Now my target is obviously into this deeper zone here. My target is obviously into this zone here. Let's just mark that out. This is my targeted area because target for sales. Because for me, it makes sense for price to it makes sense for price to really come there rather than go anywhere else. And the reason I'm saying that is because this was one of the last points where you had some kind of you know accumulation before price took off, right? So obviously, I mean, it could come here and react, but this is what we would want to see. This is what I would look to see. Come here, create some kind of structure, obviously, have some kind of rejection, like a double bottom or range, and then, like, if it's going to push up, let it push up and go beyond this. This is what I'm looking at. I don't really see it going below this, but if it does go below this, then, like, off of the 1 hour, off of the 4 hour, we can come and look at this area for, again, buys, because as you can see, there is a lot of support here. This support is pretty good. Like price held this area. Obviously, what you're looking at here, this was, if I believe this was it wasn't currency intervention. It was the Ministry of Finance intervention from Japan. Because uh, if it's a proper like yen intervention, you're not looking at these many pips. You're looking at a probably at a 500 pip move happening at one shot. So I don't believe that's the intervention, but I believe intervention. But yeah, I believe that it will hold this area, and you can even get buys from 181 area. But this is what I'm primarily looking for this week. I'm looking for it to probably come and take out that imbalance that you have up there, and from there, take the lows first, and then finally target this area. This would definitely be great areas for buys to see GJ push up again. But so yeah, this is what my idea is. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see. We'll watch price and price action and see what happens, and then take a sell if it favors all my confluences that I look for. All right. So I'm done with GJ. That is GJ. Definitely, whoever, all you guys who watch this, obviously check it out. I think that's a proper. I think that was a proper intervention. I think that was a good intervention. Let's see how many. Yeah, about 350, 330 bits. Yeah, I think that's an intervention. That's a proper intervention. That's an intervention. This is definitely an intervention. Because even this is about. Yeah, this is an intervention. Definitely. Sorry. There you go. All right. So yeah, so this is what I'm looking at in GJ, and we'll see what happens here. All right. I hope you guys understood what I was looking at in GJ. Next, let's check out gold. All right. So gold, uh, let's go to the daily, analyze on the daily. We had this uh, bullish momentum on gold, which happened obviously due to the war escalations. Obviously, there's a gap here. People expected this to fill immediately. Obviously, it won't fill when you have such huge fundamental catalysts driving the market. Never happens with gold. This was like a classic move that happened because of the Middle East tensions. But now, so what do we see from here? What do we look at when you look at immediate price action that's happened to the left? What do you see? You obviously see that there are these areas here, right? Support, support, right? Support when it broke down, right? Rejection. So why was it rejecting these areas? Obviously because support broke and then turned resistance, but like obviously this area of support is like pretty strong, right? So now as we've gotten price coming here, I am expecting this area to hold, and we what would happen? You would come back and retest into. You see how when price comes here, it comes back up and retests, not once but multiple times. You see how it comes back in here and retests. That's what I'm expecting to happen, and I don't think it would just break down and go below. If it does break below 119.30, then we're definitely headed down. And we could probably come into these wick areas before we see anything. Because again, if you look here, this is also a support. So, this area could hold. Next, if we break below the 1930s, we probably end up coming into these areas. 1910, 1915, we're looking at these areas, right? So so that's what I'm looking at. Gold, I usually use a fib And if you look at the fib here, like it's coming into the 38 fib. I use the 3850 and the 61. That's what I use for additional confluence. So those are one of the things I use. So that's the daily. So now after looking at the daily, let's come down to the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, you obviously have price has come into this demand zone. You could, draw a zone off of this bearish candle here. I'm not doing that because I don't trade gold same way I trade GJ. I have different ways I trade it. Uh, there are a lot of people who would probably draw a zone off of this candle and draw a sell zone here, and they would have sold in there, and I'm sure they've, encashed on those sells. That's just not how I trade it. I trade it very differently. So now looking at the 4 hour, obviously we've come back into this area from where price reacted and broke out. Since it was a Friday, it was a late Friday, and we had proper bearish play on Friday, we didn't really see a reaction here, which leads me to believe that on Monday when markets open, we could see a reaction. But again, I don't want to speculate. I would rather react. As you can see here, if you look at this, if you look at this area in price, what happened here? You know, this was your you can say resistance. This area was your resistance. It formed support here, and then it drove up, right? Let's just mark it for us. Let's just mark it here. All right. Just going to mark this here. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. So when we come back here and look at it, what do we have here? Okay, you have price came into this area and it technically bounced a little, but it hasn't really bounced, right? So coming in the 1 hour, this is what this was Friday's price action. Now we're coming down to the 30 minute. On 30 minute, what do we see? In 30 minute, you see some kind of support is formed here, and you see there is a resistance about there, right? You have some sort of support here. I would rather place it there, probably the bottom of the range. But I think here we still have to see much, further price action in here. But I'm not going to touch gold on Monday because I don't really trade Mondays. I never trade Mondays unless the opportunity is that good. So I'm going to wait to see what happens with gold because um, I mean, this is a support area for sure. There's no doubt about it being a support area, and this is where price reacted from last and took off. But because we've already had gold dropping on Friday, you could see a continuation drop on Monday, and we could come into these levels here. It's quite possible. It's quite possible. If we were to see price, carry on uh, stagnating here on a Monday, we could see this and maybe a breakout we could look. But then again, now what happens? You have a resistance, here. This you have minor resistance. Hold on, guys. Yeah, there you go. You have minor resistance here, right? This is definitely resistance. There is resistance here. So I mean, price could come into that resistance. Price could come up here, and then it could sell back down until it creates some support. But I mean, if price has to react back and push up here, I'm only looking to take that if I see some kind of a liquidity grab, towards the bottom, maybe coming into this price range here, where you had, some kind of accumulation happen in this area, at least in this area. That's what I'm looking at. Um, that's what I'm looking at. And I believe that could happen because if you want a price to push up, there's got to be some sort of a liquidity grab that happens. I mean, that's definite. There's got to be some kind of a liquidity grab that happens here. Otherwise, it has to be above 1939, 1938 again. At least this immediate, support it broke out of. It has to go back up and probably sustain in these levels and keep pushing up. Otherwise, I don't see it pushing up immediately on a Monday. It has to form some kind of structure here, grab some liquidity, and probably then push up. So I believe it broke this structure. So after it broke this structure at 45, 44, I believe this will become a resistance and we would see a move up there and move back down before, we see a decision of where gold wants to go next. But gold right now is in an area which is obviously important. This is, like I was saying, on the higher time frame. This is an area where we see price bounce. We could see price bounce from here if it recovers and comes above 39, 38, 39. We could see it starting to push up. But I want to see what happens because this week is a very fundamental week. We have a lot of events this week, so I would definitely be careful risking the amount of capital that you guys trade. You have CPI. Um, I think CPI is on Tuesday. That's going to bring volatility, and I think once we know what CPI numbers are, gold is going to decide which way it's moving because I believe CPI might be lower. If it is lower, then we're not looking at really bringing in one more rate hike. Powell, I doubt he'll bring in a rate hike because it's going to be Christmas season soon, and like he has said earlier in his conferences, he doesn't prefer making it more expensive for the consumers. He'd rather them have a good time, a good holiday season. He said it before. He's done it before. I believe he'll probably do it again. In which case, we won't. We will be seeing no increases in rate hikes this year. So that's my take. Let's see what happens here on gold when the markets open. I'm gonna wait and see how structure forms here before I take a position. So trade safe, guys. Protect your capital at all costs. Like, be careful. And I hope we have a really good week and we all profit from this really well. All right. Thanks again. Thanks for all of you all who watched this. This is my first video, and hopefully, I will be posting more on my YouTube channel. Stay tuned. Take care. Bye bye.